Ben went to the Apple store one day. His old phone was fine, the battery was still holding up, and there was just one tiny crack on the screen. But Ben convinced himself that he needed an upgrade. It's for work, right? A productivity improvement tool. And he bought a new iPhone Pro Max Titanium for $1,200. Ben left the store happy. He got into the car and looked at his phone. Beautiful, futuristic. And then he noticed his old battered charging cable. Next to this masterpiece of engineering, he looked like trash. It seemed wrong to connect such a phone to a $5 cable. Ben bought a new MagSafe charger. It cost him $40. At home, Ben put his phone on the bedside table, but its cheap plastic case looked ridiculous against the background of the titanium device. Ben needed a leather case. It cost $60, and then he realized that his old wired headphones were incompatible. He needed the AirPods Pro to really enjoy the phone. It cost $250. Within 48 hours, a $1,200 purchase had imperceptibly turned into a $1,600 purchase. Ben didn't even notice how it happened. It's not that he handled money badly. It was a psychological chain reaction that destroyed more fortunes than the stock market could ever destroy. This phenomenon is called the Diderot Effect. My name is Ben, and on this channel we explore the invisible scenarios that leave people stranded. Most people think they buy things because they need them. Today I will prove to you that people buy things because their other things require it. To understand why Ben couldn't stop spending money, you need to go back to France in 1765th year. Meet Denis Diderot. He was a famous philosopher, one of the founders of the encyclopedia, and had a brilliant mind. But despite his fame, Diderot was a beggar. He lived a modest life, and he was happy. But then everything changed. Catherine the Great, the Russian empress, learned of Diderot's financial difficulties. She was a fan of his work, so she offered to buy his library for a huge sum, about the equivalent of $50,000 today, and at the same time leave him the books. Suddenly, Diderot became rich. And what did he do? He did what anyone would do. He bought a beautiful, expensive scarlet robe, a luxurious robe worthy of a king. He brought it home, put it on, and looked in the mirror. He felt elegant, rich, but when he sat down at his desk to write, he noticed that something was bothering him. The robe was great, but his desk was scratched, rotted, and covered in ink stains. The table did not match the elegance of the robe, so Diderot replaced it. He bought a beautiful mahogany desk. He sat down again. Now the robe and the table looked great together, but when he looked at the floor, he realized that his old worn carpet looked like a rag. It was an insult to the room. He bought a luxurious damask carpet. Furthermore, the curtains looked cheap against the carpet. He replaced the curtains. Because of the curtains, the chair looked like firewood. He bought a leather armchair. He bought new paintings, new sculptures, new mirrors. For several months, he was obsessed with the idea of the unity of the room. He systematically changed everything until all the furnishings matched the quality of the scarlet robe. In the end, Diderot was broke again. Later, he wrote the famous essay, "I regret parting with my old robe." There was a phrase in it, "I was the absolute master of my old robe, but I became a slave to my new one." This is the Diderot effect. The appearance of a new thing often leads to an increase in consumption. We think we own our things, but in reality, things own us. Ben looked down at himself. He didn't wear scarlet robes, but the Diderot effect was applied to him every day. Modern marketing is designed to evoke it with gun-like precision. Ben decided to get in shape. He bought a Peloton bike for $1,500. He said to himself, "It's an investment in my health." But when the bike arrived, Ben realized that he couldn't ride it in an old baggy t-shirt and gym shorts from school. He didn't look like the instructors on the screen. He didn't feel like a cyclist. He bought specialized shoes for $150, then compression shorts for $80, then a branded t-shirt for $50. And then Ben realized that the bike looked messy in his cluttered living room. He needed to create a space for training. He bought a yoga mat, dumbbells, and a new smart TV. Suddenly, Ben didn't just buy a bike. He bought an entire personality. This is the essence of the Diderot effect. People strive for consistency. They want the outside world to match their inner self-image. When Ben bought a status item, he enhanced his personality. If he owns a Honda Civic, it's convenient for him to wear jeans and eat in fast food. But if he spends his budget on a Porsche, he changes his personality. Now he's a Porsche fan, and people from Porsche don't wear scratched sunglasses. They don't have cheap IKEA furniture. They don't eat off paper plates. A car sets a new bar for a lifetime. Anything that does not meet this standard creates psychological stress. Most people calculate the cost of a single item. They look at the price tag and ask, "Can I afford this product for $500? This is wrong. It is necessary to calculate the cost of the chain reaction. Ben decided to renovate the kitchen. He spent $10,000 on new cabinets, but when the new white cabinets were installed, his old yellow refrigerator looked disgusting. It worked great, but it didn't fit visually. Ben spent $2,000 on a stainless steel refrigerator. The cabinets and refrigerator looked elegant now, but the vinyl floor seemed cheap. Ben spent $5,000 on a hardwood floor. The kitchen has become a masterpiece, just like on the cover of a magazine. But it was an open concept house. When Ben stood in the new kitchen and looked into the living room, it looked like a dump. The old sofa looked drab. The paint is dull. The renovation has spread to the living room. Ben painted the entire first floor and bought a new section. The final cost was not $10,000, but $35,000. Cabinets for $10,000 became the scarlet mantle. They were an anchor that made everything else look inadequate. If Ben had kept the old cabinets, he would never have paid attention to the floor. I wouldn't hate a refrigerator. They used to arrange it. The update caused discontent. Promotions are often disguised as demotions. When Diderot had an old robe, he didn't worry about ink stains. He used it to wipe the pen. It was functional. He was the master. When he got a new robe, he was afraid to ruin it. He became stiff. I lost my freedom. When Ben buys a new white sofa, he stops letting his friends drink red wine in the living room, stops letting the dog jump on him. He stops living in the living room because he serves the facility. He becomes a curator of the museum, not a resident of the house. How can this be stopped? Ben can't live in a cave and never buy good things. It's unreal, but it can create firewalls. The number one strategy is to predict a chain reaction. Before buying something to improve, Ben should ask himself, what else will it take? If he buys a PS5, will he need a 4K TV, an additional controller, subscription? You need to calculate the full cost of the system, not just individual elements. If the PS5 costs $500 and the system costs $1,500, can Ben afford $1,500? If not, don't buy the anchor item. Strategy number 2 is the buy one is give one rule. The Diderot effect is enhanced by accumulation. Ben adds new stuff, but keeps the old stuff and then tries to match it. Inventory needs to be updated. If Ben buys a new pair of sneakers, the old pair needs to be taken out of the house, donate, sell, or throw away. If he buys a new toaster, the old one is thrown away. It makes you appreciate what you have. It prevents you from creating a sanctuary out of things. Strategy number 3 is strategic downgrade. This is the simplest option. Sometimes the only way to change your baseline is to consciously lower some noticeable part of your life. Driving a car that's a little older than it can afford. Wear a simple and functional watch. When the main elements look modest, there is no need to update everything else. If Ben drives a beat-up Toyota truck, no one expects a $2,000 suit from him. He has freedom. He can wear jeans. He can have a burrito in the car. By keeping his status low, Ben reduces the necessary expenses for the rest of his life. It creates an image that does not require maintenance, and a maintenance-free image is the most profitable asset you can own. There's nothing wrong with beautiful things. Ben loves beautiful things, but he must understand what game he is playing. Consumerism is designed to feel inferior. It's designed to make it seem like there's only one purchase separating you from happiness. But the Diderot Effect teaches the truth of 300 years ago. One purchase does not solve the puzzle. She's confusing her. Ben will not be a slave to his clothes. He is the master of his life. If this video saved you from a stupid purchase this week, please like it. Subscribe to Ben. See you in the next issue.